what I see in property management and in property management businesses is this Frankenstein tech stack where you have, let's liken it to a car where you have a Toyota engine and you've sort of got a Holden chassis and you're using the Ford air conditioning and you've got a BMW exterior because that looks wonderful. And then you might have bolted on a Mercedes logo to the back, which is another trick that you've got. But none of these things actually work together, and we don't really realize the potential of any of them, let alone the Ford air conditioner or the Toyota engine or the Holden chassis. And so the one thing that I'd encourage anyone in the property management or really any property professional is to consider the fact that your technology, number one, there needs to be a synergy between them. And if you're not using these tools or they're not dialing the needle, then it might be time to consider looking at something else or changing the way that you actually do business or modifying a tweak. If you still think the tech is great, then bring it in and encourage user adoption across your business.
Welcome back to another episode, and this one is awesome. It's all about technology, and please do not switch off if you hate technology, because there's so much value and content you are going to learn in this episode. So technology in real estate, as we all know, is evolving at such a rapid pace. But let's be honest, for many property managers, it can feel completely overwhelming, and I know how much all of you love change. With new platforms, AI-driven tools, automation, and the endless must-have tech solutions being thrown at us, it's easy to get caught up chasing shiny objects without knowing what's actually going to make a difference in your business. And that's where many in the industry actually get stuck, resistant to change, unsure where to start, and worried about that the tech may replace relationships instead of enhancing them. But the truth is, the right technology isn't here to replace the human touch. It's here to boost efficiency, improve customer service, and help you scale smarter, not harder. And to break all of this down, I'm joined by Peter Schravemade, Managing Partner at Reach ASEA. And he's also the Vice President of the PropTech Association of Australia, and he's one of the most sought after real estate tech experts on the planet. Peter has spent years at the forefront of real estate innovation, working with some of the biggest companies in the world to drive growth, entrepreneurship, and digital transformation in the industry. In this episode, we're going to get real about the biggest mistakes property managers make when it comes to tech, why so many are resistant to change, and how that's actually holding them back. And we're talking about automation and AI, not as something to be afraid of, but as tools that can actually enhance your customer service and strengthen your client relationships. And of course, we'll dive into the future of real estate tech, what's coming, what's worth investing in, and how to stop chasing shiny objects and instead choose the right tools to actually move your business forward. If you've ever felt like technology is moving way too fast and you don't know where to start, this episode will give you the clarity you need to prepare your business for the digital age without the stress and overwhelm, which is what I'm all about. So grab yourself a cuppa, sit down, and let's dive on in. Peter, thank you so much for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. Can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and amazing job you do right now?
Thank you for having me, Kylie. It's great to be here. Yeah, look, the primary role I have is with a group called Reach Asia Pacific, and mostly that's known as Reach Australia and New Zealand. And long story short, my wife and I and another guy called Tom are part of a Reach program, which is run by a group called Second Century Ventures. Means nothing to anyone, but we're charged with three things from America. We're charged with the identification of new forms of technology, investing in that new technology using money from realtors, basically from America. And then we run an accelerator program whereby we bolster the investment that we've made in the company in the original part. And because of mine and my wife's background as being part of a property technology, it's uniquely placed us in a position where, I get the luxury of accelerating Aussie and New Zealand property technologies and seeing all of the fun, cool stuff. So I really love what I do, and both myself and my wife are pretty passionate about our roles.
That is amazing. And you're right. That would be a really cool space to be in as the world of technology is ramping up a whole nother level. I think we all remembered the internet days. That was kind of a big technological revolution. Now we're heading into the AI era. But before we dive into talking all things tech, I just had a podcast with your wife, the amazing
Yes.
Ebony, and she was telling me about a window bot cleaner. And I was absolutely fascinated with
Oh
it.
my goodness. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Look what I've done.
Now they're going to go out and buy up on those window cleaning bots. I'm going to be the first one in line.
Yeah. What did she tell you about it? What it does and how it helps? And yeah,
Yeah.
most people think I'm a bit of a weirdo for the amount of the technology that we have sort of around the property, but I really enjoy things that take me away from doing the mundane tasks that I don't need to do, or Ebony doesn't need to do, or neither of us need to do. And yeah, that window robot is a good investment.
And I guess that's a great segue into real estate and property management. With that mindset in place, how do we embrace technology and, take away from us having to do all those mundane tasks? So, and I guess maybe let's start with, if you were in the property management industry right now yourself and you had a business, what is the tech stack that you would recommend somebody must have currently?
Yeah, look, I mean, I do get asked this question from time to time, and I think my response is always the same. It doesn't really matter what technology I throw at you or what you see and what comes out on the market. The only technology that is ever going to be beneficial to you as a property manager or in any profession is the one that you choose to use, and the one that is being utilized to make things more efficient or more productive or a better return on investment. And I think we get stuck sometimes in looking at newfangled things that might come out on the market. Look at me, I sound like an old person, but we get all of these bright lights shown to us and we go, that'd be great in our business. But, there's so much more to think about. The adoption into your business. Is this really going to drive the needle? Who does it actually benefit? Is it the consumer? Is it benefiting my staff? Is it benefiting myself? Or is it benefiting my accountant? Or is it only benefiting the people that I'm paying a subscription to? And I actually see this in our daily lives as well. Like, most of us have subscriptions that we're not utilizing. We're paying money for, let's say it might be Netflix and Stan, and we've also got a KO subscription because we like the sports, or it could be Optus, we're watching that. Whatever it is, we sign up to all these subscriptions, and really the only ones that are valid are the ones that you're actually using. I remember running into a bloke called Gary Ashton, and high up with Remax over in the US. He has thousands of agents, the number one agent in the world, in fact. And he said to me that on a 6-monthly basis, he goes and cancels all his subscriptions. And then if he finds that he ignites them again or starts using them again, well, that obviously means that he needed it in some capacity. And I was like, well, what a refreshing way to look at it. And if we consider our tech stack very similar to that, whereas what I see in property management and in property management businesses is this Frankenstein tech stack where you have, let's liken it to a car where you have a Toyota engine and you've sort of got a Holden chassis and you're using the Ford air conditioning and you've got a BMW exterior because that looks wonderful. And then you might have bolted on a Mercedes logo to the back, which is another trick that you've got. But none of these things actually work together, and we don't really realize the potential of any of them, let alone the Ford air conditioner or the Toyota engine or the Holden chassis. And so the one thing that I'd encourage anyone in the property management or really any property professional is to consider the fact that your technology, number one, there needs to be a synergy between them. And if you're not using these tools or they're not dialing the needle, then it might be time to consider looking at something else or changing the way that you actually do business or modifying a tweak. If you still think the tech is great, then bring it in and encourage user adoption across your business. But at the moment, we all seem like deer in the headlights. We're kind of going, oh, that's new and that's cool and I've got to have it and the Smiths have got it down the road, therefore we need to use it. But, without actually mentioning brands, there's really, I've seen great people operating in property management with very little tech. And I've seen some amazing people operating with a lot of tech. And the main difference between them is how they actually utilize it to go about making their business faster, more efficient, more productive, or a better return on investment.
And that's ultimately what it's all about, making it faster, better, more efficient. And I guess that's where there is a bit of a gap in the industry at the moment. There is no one-stop shop tool that has all of our tech in the one platform. And I know in my real estate business, for example, I've got my property management software, I've got my CRM software, I've got my inspection software, I've got my electronic signature platform software, I've got my maintenance software. I've got all of these things, and some of them are talking to each other a lot better than they did, say, even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But is this something that you guys are looking at the moment through your program? Is there ever going to be an opportunity for us to have that one-stop shop in technology for property management or real estate?
I don't think so. And I don't think, as much as property managers actually say they want it, I don't think they want the end result. I'll give you a great example. Well, there's that. But if there's a one-stop shop, that means that they've monopolised the market in some way, shape or form. We've got a great example of that in our industry at the moment. It's called realestate.com.au. They've monopolised one part of our software tech world, which is the aggregator of the portal. They are now the main consumer facing. And there's not a property manager that will listen to this podcast that can't appreciate the amount of dollars that they spend on that subscription and, various listing and how you are held to the whims of realestate.com.au in that format. And I'm not having a go at realestate.com.au, but if you want to fast forward to what that looks like, you end up in a property management world where your whole business is beholden to a single entity. And giving anyone that power over your business is counterproductive to actually running a business in the first place. So, I do actually hear it a lot from property managers. Like, it would be great if we had this all-in-one tool and everything worked together. Yes, it would. Yeah, from an efficiency standpoint, it would. But I don't actually think we've thought through the implications of what that might be for our businesses and how we consider to operate. Because if that actually does if that happens, what's to stop that entity, ABC or whoever ABC Realty or ABC PropTech, who's to stop that entity for just placing property managers who become order takers? The thing that makes you unique as a property manager is the personalisation you bring to the industry and the relationship that you forge between your tenants, the consumer and the landlord, and to an extent how you operate within your agency. And I still think that should be the centre of the transaction. And I'm a technologist. You know how much I believe in technology, but here I am, hand across my heart, saying to you, it has to be about the relationship. The good property managers are not necessarily the ones with tech. They are the ones that actually forge a relationship and care for the people that, in a very tough scenario at the moment, they care for the people that they're looking after in either placing tenants or, they're looking after their landlord's properties in a professional sense.
The way I look at technology is I look at it in terms of what can I take off my plate that is going to allow me to have more time to work with my clients, to pick up the phone and call my clients, to work on bringing new business in. And that is the way that I look at my technology. So, and I've always been a fairly, I would like to think, early adopter of different platforms. So grateful that I got electronic signature platform DocuSign in before COVID hit, because I know there was a lot of agencies scrambling once that hit. So, and I guess the question I'm going to form here, I was still waiting for a question to form then, but the question that I want to ask, do you think adopting, people who adopt this early technology, do you think in terms of maybe profit, in terms of efficiency, that they perform better in the long run rather than somebody, and we could use COVID as an example and some of the technology that people maybe didn't have in place pre and then post-COVID? Would that be?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. I don't necessarily think the early adopter is in the pole position. Where I would attack that, or what I would say, is the person who discerns what technology is best for their business better is in pole position, better and faster. So we're now entering an age, and we've already had the AI term come up, but we're now entering an age where technology is hitting the market faster, about 30% faster. We're seeing startups that we wouldn't normally see, things like coding and development, have become so much quicker. And that's across the board. That Google and Facebook stats, they're saying that we're coding 30% faster. And that has this knock-on effect down the way. So as a owner of a business yourself, you're going to be seeing approximately 30% more new tools and new tech hitting the market Like it may not have happened to you straight away, but it will happen over a period of time. And so my gut instinct is the person who's going to be better at business in general is the person who's going to be able to take a quick look at this technology and decide whether it's either something I want to investigate further, something I want to adopt, or something I want to discard. And don't forget that discard is also a very important part. So, a lot of the times we focus just on the adoption, but sometimes adopting that tech is not the right way to go, because we're going to waste a lot of time, man hours, roll it out through our group only to find it actually doesn't do what we thought it did. And we were sold a bit of, a few promises, or we misunderstood something for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So, I wouldn't put it on the adopter. I would put it on your understanding of tech. And that puts if you want to segue from that puts a lot of property managers in a very difficult position, because no area is in real estate in general is more adverse to change than property managers, in my opinion. Yep. And with the poor property managers, we've actually forced them into a lot of change. And you spoke about it. We've had COVID. Realistically, we should have been using e-signed documents for years before that, because our consumers wanted it. But it was this adverse effect, or it was this adversity to, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. A phrase I hate, or, it's that we are guilty of going along and not changing anything because we don't need to change anything. And COVID kind of came and gave us a bit of a push and forced us to do some of those things that we didn't want to do. And now on the other side of it, we found actually some of those changes weren't so bad, and they've made it better, and our consumers did want it, and great, happy days. But, when I feel, coming back to the point I was making, I feel all of these new forms of technology, if they're not already, are starting to get a bit overwhelming for a lot of property managers. And on top of the droves of property managers leaving the industry because of conditions, because, our previous state government, where you and I are, and to an extent our federal government, drives a wedge between the property manager and the tenant, which is something that we've got to put a stop to. But because all of these things have happened, and the poor property managers stuck in the middle, doing something that's regulated, doing the best they possibly can, and now on top of that, we've got this flood of technology coming over the top of them. It does seem overwhelming. And if I'm one of those property managers who still believes a filing cabinet is God's answer to everything, I'm going to be really struggling to operate my business right now. And that's not even talking about 12 months from now, when, more and more of this technology comes and your competitors are actually using it well.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there in terms of the property managers not wanting change, not liking change. I share a story where I had 4 property managers quit in one day when I told them we were changing from the server-based software to cloud-based to the cloud-based property management software. Wow. And I was also in VAs, and I was left with about 500 properties and myself to change the software over and onboard VAs into the business. So, are you feeling overwhelmed and thinking about selling your rent roll? Don't worry, you're not alone, and HDNU is here to help. Whether you're ready to sell now or you just want to plan for the future, the friendly and approachable team at HDNU makes the process simple and stress-free. Hello, yes please. With over 30 years of expertise, they're not just about crunching the numbers. They genuinely care about helping you maximize your agency's value and get the best outcome for you. Their sales readiness bundle is like having a trusted advisor by your side. They'll work closely with you to assess your agency's key factors, create an easy to understand heat map of your strengths and opportunities, and then sit down with you for a 90-minute workshop to guide you on what to do next. They'll look at everything from rent roll earnings and rent arrears to compliance and team performance and explain it all in plain English. If you're planning to sell soon, HDNU can even handle the whole process for you, from finding qualified buyers to negotiating the deal. Their friendly, professional team takes the stress out of selling so you can feel confident every step of the way. And to get started, simply book in a meeting with the team today. Their link is in the show notes. They're here to help you move forward with confidence. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is Kolmeo.
I heard a story last week. It is from New South Wales. I won't mention names, but it was a very prominent person who runs a business who said that they were interviewing for a senior property manager last week. And the person came in and said, you know, this is what I've done. And they've gone great extensive history. And then the property manager said, well, now if I'm coming on board, here's my wage. And I think it was a surplus of 150,000 Australian was what they're asking. And you're going to need to change your CRM to this, your inspection manager to this. And I just, I don't know where we're going. I don't know where we're going when we have senior property managers who, that person obviously felt that they could actually dictate that to a business owner. And so we're entering kind of uncharted territory. I've spent a lot of time around the property management, operating my own business with an extensive rent roll, and I've never heard that kind of thing happen. So, I'm pretty fearful for the industry at the moment as far as that is concerned. It's not a wonderful scenario.
No, and the power in that comes because there is just a limited number of senior property managers out there, and there's not enough new people coming into the industry. Every business owner that I am speaking to at the moment cannot find experienced property managers. So,
well, let me take a segue from that. So one of the things that we focused on at Reach is we try to invest in technology that's actually going to dial a needle. And for the better part of 3 years, we've had property managers super high on our list. They sit up there with affordability or construction tech. We're looking for solutions that might make the housing crisis lessened, because that in turn eases the role of a property manager. But we're certainly looking for valid tech that property managers can implement into their business that make their lives easier, that doesn't necessarily, it may not be game changing, it may not attract more people to your business, but we certainly look for, prospective pieces of technology that are going to maybe cut this sliver of time off. So we hear that, and we're genuinely, unfortunately, unless I build it myself, which I think I'm approaching 50 and I'm on the other side of that now, and I'll never say never, but I think my role is best served in accelerating other people's businesses at the moment. But we're always invested in hearing new ideas and new concepts that are coming out that do actually cater to the property management business and relieve some stress and pressure, not only in the business owners, but the property managers in general.
Yeah. And that's great that, you're looking to create that impact holistically for everybody in the industry as well. And maybe just and this serves my curiosity, can you just talk me through the process of, Reach, how, decide, how we bring a piece of tech to you, how you discern what you'll move forward with, what you'll accelerate, what you won't accelerate. Maybe just talk through your whole process.
Yeah, well, our whole process sometimes goes for 6 months, so I won't talk through the whole thing. I'll paraphrase it for the sake of the podcast, but it's by application. So we have on our website, which is reachau.com, you can go there. There's an apply now button. Somebody who has a great idea or a concept can anytime through the year just go there and it'll step by step ask you to fill something out. But the way we operate is yearly we have an intake where we go through all the applications that have happened for the last 12 months, and then we take them through rounds where we ask further questions and we decide, okay, here are our top 20 or whatever. And then we take that to a further round. There's about 6 rounds that we go through. But coming back to criteria, I think that was part of your question, is what do we go looking for? Yep. You know, obviously the things that I've mentioned already, like we have an industry, we have a living, breathing industry, a property community, if you want to call it that. And there are things that are drastically impacting that. So number one, we go looking for things that are going to solve a real problem that is contemporary right here and now. Number two, we look for great ideas. Innovation is a huge part of it, not just innovation in technology, but potentially the way that they've thought through the product. It might be the same as what we've done. We have a smoke alarm solution, right? Smoke alarms are boring, but you know, this smoke alarm solution, which by the way doesn't necessarily work in Queensland because of our legislation, actually checks itself. It stops you having a sparky to go out to the site. So, you know, you think about all of the smoke alarm, the sparkies that have to go out and check to see whether a smoke alarm's working in all of the other states and territories. We now have an internet connected device that doesn't do that. So by way of example, that's innovative, but it's an old concept. Smoke alarms have been around for donkey's years. So it has to be innovative. We look at the technology behind it. Is it proprietary? Has it been written by the people that are there? Is it borrowed tech? A lot of the AI that you see these days is actually not proprietary. It doesn't belong to the person that's selling it to you. They have a plugin or an API, an application programming interface that plugs into a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Copilot, and it's doing the hard work for you. But are we actually investing in those things, or are we investing in the person's technology? So that's there. We actually spend a lot of time looking at the people behind it. I can't tell you how often a great idea has never taken off the ground because the people behind it, the barrier, and a mediocre idea has taken off because the people behind it are just dynamite people. So, you know, quite often part of our investment is about the people, is about the culture that they bring. Their approach to the industry is probably another thing that we look at. And then we look at a bunch of financials. So, you know, what are they currently turning over? Are they an established group? Are they just going to be here for 6 months and then exit to the nearest player? Or is this something that they feel passionately about and they want to actually build a product and take it to the moon, so to speak? And then we look at the geographical area of operation. You know, do you only operate in Queensland? Do you only operate in New South Wales? Do you have aspirations of going to another geographical location like America or the UK? We're actually quite a small pool over here with a really robust technology system. Like we punch far above our weight for the country, the size that we are. So we look at that aspect as well. And, you know, there's much more that I could add to it, you know, where boring stuff about where their fundings come from and so on and so forth. But we actually forensically investigate a lot of the companies that come across our desk, and we're quite proud to say, and it's actually a warning that I give to companies going through our process, we're long-winded. It takes a long time. And whilst I'm apologetic for that, I'm also not, because at the end of the day, you know, we need to figure out, it's like, sorry to be crass, but it's like sleeping with someone on the first date. You don't want to do that. You want to find out whether this person is actually worth going there. And so there's this whole courtship period, and that should apply to any kind of investment decisions that you make, in my opinion.
That's amazing. That's good. That has quelled my curiosity. Amazing. Leo, I'm really curious about that whole process with investing and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you sharing some of your knowledge around that with us. And I guess I'm going to just change directions a little bit. And obviously you've already mentioned, and I mentioned AI is huge. Can you share maybe with us any new technology that might be coming to the market, whether it's AI or something else? Is there anything that's happening that we should be keeping an eye on, or, you know, clearing some space from all the shiny objects and be, you know, looking at this when it comes?
Yep, absolutely. I've got one for you straight up. So I believe most of the listeners to this are property management based, correct? Leasy, brand new company, lesy.com.au. These guys do an instant CMA on a property. I reckon it's within 30 seconds. A rental CMA, that is, not a sales CMA, but they actually provide you with a very accurate CMA for free within no time. You can go there now, you can sign up, you can check it out. The founder of that's a young bloke from Sydney, and he's only just unleashed it on Queensland at the moment. I think it's Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. but brand new to the market. Most of the feedback we've had from property managers is that it's a game changer because they're quite often asked to do CMAs, and this thing, the way it puts it, the way the user interface goes about getting the details from you and then gives you a very accurate, up-to-date sort of opinion in seconds with comparatives. It can brand it yourself. It can email it out to the person. Like, again, I was serious when I said we were looking for things that save property managers time because we know how much pressure and stress they're under, and this is one of them. So give it a go. If it's not working, send all your hate mail to me. I'm happy to deal with it.
So what was it called again?
Leasy, E-E-S-Y, leasy.com.au.
Okay. I'll put it in the
so
notes.
so I'd take a look at that one. That one's a good one. What else is coming out in the area of property management? Let me talk about one that we use quite a bit here that's a little bit different. It's more for, I think it's called MyMarquee. We use it for, it is, mymarquee.ai. So that's M-Y-M-A-R-K-I, no, let me start again, MYMARKY.ai. And MyMarquee, it puts all social media together using artificial intelligence. There's free and there's paid accounts, but it'll basically put as much as you want together, 3 months worth. It'll analyze your website. It'll understand who your target market is. It'll get hyperlocal articles that matter, and it'll just flood your social media post with content so that you're always staying relevant, and the algorithms actually see that you're relevant to the people that are out there. It doesn't stop you from putting personalized content. Kylie Walker is traveling today and this is where I'm going, and here's a snapshot of me at the airport and living my best life, hashtag, whatever it may be. It doesn't stop you from doing that, but it fills in the blank spaces with content that is relevant to the people that you're chasing in your local area. So, there are two tools that you can use immediately that save you a bit of time.
That's amazing. I will have a look at that MyMarquee. I might put myself out of business, seeing as I do social media management, but I think if I can enhance my clients' social media content that's absolutely amazing.
It won't put you out of business, but it will be an asset.
Yes, absolutely. And then that's exactly right. There is great tech that even, and I think everyone is worried about, are their jobs going to lose their jobs with AI? Is there going to be any jobs left? And I always think there is always going to be jobs. There's going to be jobs for the people that integrate it into their daily lives and their working lives. They're the people that are going to thrive long term.
Yeah, on that, I think, the tool that I feel that property managers are not using that they should be is any of the AI engines. I believe property managers will be using it to help them write an email or whatever, but you can actually use them for so much more than that. You can take a export dump from RP Data or Property Data Solutions, whichever one that you're using, that talks about what has rented, the potential rents. You can find the median from there. You can ask it to search for anomalies. What area do you see there are more landlords coming on the market? And AI will disseminate that. And just from a business perspective, I think if you're a property manager and you're not utilizing AI outside of content writing, outside of a really basic, I've made a superhero image of myself, I've dressed myself up as a cowboy, I've written a few property descriptions, whatever that may be, that's really basic. There are so many levels to it. And so, the other tools that I mentioned are really good, but these things are super powerful. And if you actually find a way to, port them into your business and use them for things that actually matter, you'd be surprised at how good they are. We have a GPT on property legislation. So, understanding the Property Occupations Act. Now, let me add a disclaimer. You probably still need to know what you're doing. It's not going to circumvent expert legal advice or anything like that. But for finding parts of the Act that refer to, the conditions that a building should be in, which is now federally legislated, AIs are really good for doing that and pulling them out so you can show owners and say, you have a significant mold issue that now forms that, you've breached this section of the Act and here it goes. So you should be using it for just about everything that you possibly can, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just on that note, I survey my clients every sort of 6 to 12 months. The last lot of surveys that got back in, I ran it all through, rather than going through, I think I had about 150 Google Docs that came back. Yep. I ran it all through chat. I asked it to analyse what was working, what's not working. Then I asked it to give me, how can I improve my processes? What would you recommend? And then I asked it to even, how do I create some content to share out to attract more landlords like that? I had that much information. It was incredible.
That's a perfect example. My gut instinct is the prevalence of property managers actually doing what you did is extremely low. But that is exactly what I'm referring to. That type of use of AI is bang on. This is not, a lot of people go, I don't need that artificial intelligence. I'm going to do it all human. Whatever. The time that saved you in giving you the correct information right then and there that you can action, priceless. I would have paid somebody with an Excel spreadsheet in a third world country $500 to try and figure that out. And yet it's done it in an instant and dropped it straight to you immediately. So if you're not using that tool, if you're not using Gemini, if you're not using Copilot, Grok, whichever one that you prefer, then look, just be curious. Just try it. Try it with the things that you least expect. But yeah, that's perfect, Kylie. Great example.
Yeah, no, it is. It's mind-blowing what it can do once you start diving in. And you can go down some rabbit holes and spend a whole lot of time on it. So you've got to be careful. So I guess I just want to wrap up our conversation today. Can you share with our audience a personal development tool, book, podcast, AI? I mean, you have already shared a couple of amazing bits of tech with us, but something that would help with personal development.
Yes, my mate Andy Reid has written this book. It's called Success Curious. So Andy Reid is a well-known auctioneer. But actually, do you know Andy Reid at all? Or
no.
He actually runs another podcast, and it's called High Performance Humans. So he interviews people and he tries to find out what makes them as high performing as they are. So every episode, I reckon someone's got something different. I mean, I've heard a lot of similar themes that come along there, but every now and then you get one that just stands out and you go, I never thought of that before. And so he's written a book called Success Curious, which really describes his journey in interviewing these people. Brand new, out today. It's $35 at your nearest retail center. I think it's available on Amazon, and he's got his own website. But Andy is one of the good guys, passionate about making the industry better for everyone around. I'm only 1/3 through, so I can't tell you how good the book is, but I'm enjoying what I'm reading at the moment. So that would be my tip, and a local nonetheless, or Sydney agent anyway.
Amazing.
Sydney? Melbourne. Whoop, forgive me, Andy. Sorry, Melbourne.
That's all good. If anyone wants to reach out to you, what's the best place for them to get in touch?
Oh, look, I've got a ridiculously long last name. If you enter that into any of the Google search engines, it'll come up with myself and my wife and I think I'm on all of the social medias except for the dating apps. So you can find me on any of the other ones.
Yes, you don't need to do that. You've got a beautiful wife.
Yeah, that's right. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I don't think I'm on TikTok anymore, but all the others. If you just Google Peter Schravemade, otherwise just hit me up. I'm sure I'll have email addresses or whatever else when this podcast is removed. But you're welcome to contact me about anything. If any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Amazing. Peter, thank you so much for your time. I'm very grateful.
Thanks for having me.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.